Hello, my name is Francisco, and today I will be presenting on my project for our embedded systems class. Um, well, unfortunately, I am not able to have a working project since my project implements the Wi-Fi module, and unfortunately, I am not able to get it working. But just to give you some idea of how it worked, um, we had the Wi-Fi module here on the LAN Tiger board as implemented in Lab 7 of our class. And we had also UART0 as a serial port that would help us debug the or receive any messages from the module, right? But unfortunately, the Wi-Fi module is no longer working for me. The few times that I did get it working um, worked then, but now 100% of the time it will not connect. So I will be explaining a bit on how I implemented the code to reach the ends of what I wanted my project to be. And what my project essentially was is to be able to retrieve uh, data, in this case text files, um, from the host computer via the module into a mobile device. And this is an old phone that I used to have, an Android phone, a couple years back, and I was trying to get it to work, and it seems to connect to the Wi-Fi module, but there are some incompatible issues with compatibility issues with the way the Android Studio works. Even though I updated the or I downgraded the Gradle that I'm supposed to use for this phone. So if you look here, what I did is to create this new app, I modified the Heartbeat app that Dr. Ababe has shown us, and essentially works the same. You type in the IP address and the port number and makes an HTTP request to establish a connection. And what the user is supposed to do is you would put your file name here, and then it would be sent to the module, and then the module would be sent to the host computer to retrieve the file from a directory with that specific name, and then in this text field the data or the response would be displayed for the user to see. So it's convenient for whenever you're at home or somewhere in a building where you have access to Wi-Fi but don't have access to your computer. You can just retrieve your computer files like that. Okay, so what I modified here is not much. This is the Heartbeat program, and we started out by implementing this line of code, which eventually gets the input and creates the text in the input into a string, and it trims it. And then if there is some kind of input that is detected, we would add it to our parameter value, and that parameter would be sent along with our HTTP request, as seen here. Um, and then we keep going, and so we send the request, and as expected, we want to get a response from the server, which in this case the server would be the Wi-Fi module. So what we do is we get the server response, but we set the text of the server response as an output text. So whatever the message we get from that input stream, we are gonna set it into the to be displayed for the user in that multi-lined text field. And as of right now, that is all that I was able to work with. It makes sense to me, but it is I wasn't able to debug it without a working module, since I am not able to test it to its full extent. Well, and then we continue to the host end, in this case my personal computer. So what I have here is I established an HTTP connection by setting the Wi-Fi module's IP address in the socket, and we also sent the effect parameter, which was established beforehand in the Heartbeat application. So this is all standard stuff to create an HTTP request, and also await. What this means is essentially, since it is a post request, we are awaiting a response whenever we send that request. And we have in another method, a static read file method. So whatever file name we receive, we're gonna put it here. Um, in our desktop directory, we're gonna look up for, whatever file it is we need, and we're gonna use a buffer reader to read through that file. And whatever lines of text we have, we're gonna print them out for us to see here, and also we're gonna return that string, so that that string can be character by character. It can be sent to the mobile device via the Wi-Fi module. So this send request has a char C, and what it essentially does, since I wasn't able to know how many bytes of data I could actually send with the HTTP request if it were working, I decided to send it by characters. The parameters are characters that will eventually build up to create a message, or in this particular situation, essentially sent the characters of the data file that we requested to the mobile device. And in our main method, we initiate the request just to make sure we have a connection, and then we have a while loop, a forever while loop that receives input data that may be coming from the mobile device or the Wi-Fi module, and we store that data as a string, and then that string we set it to we call the read file method on it, and whatever we get in return, we set it as the file contents, which then we send back as by reading essentially what is a character array. And lastly, we have our program here to program how we want the Wi-Fi module to work, and that essentially means both sending and receiving messages, and essentially also decoding that data that we are asking to retrieve. So in this case, what we are doing is we are modifying the code that we got from Lab 7, which is basically what Dr. Bobby provided us to test our Wi-Fi module and work with it, in which is able to receive parameters. And in this case, what we get is we use the method serial get char non-blocking from our UART2 port. And what we do here is we store every character into a character array called data text, and that way we are setting all the incoming characters, whether that be letters, numbers, or spaces, in order. And then we check to see, usually our control, this was supposed to be left here, both receiving the 1 or the 2, for me to ensure that there was a connection established for testing, and then I would take it out, but I couldn't do that because my module wasn't working. But in the case that we didn't receive a character, it would tell us. Otherwise, if we did receive a character, it would say character received. And at the end of every iteration, it would put that text into the LCD, which essentially would be displaying the character array and the message that it is essentially forming, that would represent the state of data that we would get from whatever text file we are reading. Unfortunately, I cannot test this again. Like I said, we had connections with the Wi-Fi module. At first, I was able to connect to it with my phone and my PC, but I was not able to send any parameters. And lately, I was not able to connect to it at all. So I was not able to be in the right circumstances for testing. But that was the basic idea of it. So let me know if you have any questions or concerns about my project. Thank you for listening.